Start with the warm-up exercise. So today let's just understand very basic or just go with an introduction about what data science is or business analytics is. So, and even the role of a business analyst. So with that, let me first tell you about the buzzword that we have heard in data industry. Now that we are all in data industry, let's talk about the buzzwords that we have heard so far. That would be data analyst, data analysis, business analyst, business analysis, or business intelligence, then big data, and a lot of things. So with that, let's first understand what exactly data is. So we know that today data has become more valuable than what it was. And every company needs data as they are majorly dependent on new technologies. So the humongous amount of data is at the heart of all of them. Okay, so whether we needed to manage or to store, reprocess, or to get the meaningful insights, everything is relevant when it is about data. So there's one or maybe two major problems with a data or the processing of data, and that is one, storage, the other, processing. With these two major problems, there comes data science. So let us understand data science as an umbrella, which has business analytics or marketing or HR analytics inside it. And when we say what exactly data science is, so it is a process through which we can get meaningful data or the meaningful information from those massive amount of data which are actually unstructured or which are raw in nature. And when it is about need of having data science, we need to understand that earlier we had structured data because the volume was so less. But today, it is not the case because with time, the volume increased and the resource of getting data is such that we cannot really guarantee whether the data is proper or a structured data. So now we receive data in an unstructured or a semi-structured form. Okay, so I'll show a presentation with you. Not really a presentation, but I'll make it easier for you. Can you confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes.
All right. So this pretty much, see, every company in the world has two departments. Okay, so let's understand that one department is business and the other is IT. Okay, so the business consists of business stakeholders who make business decisions. Okay, so consists of stakeholders. And the IT consists of developers or the testers. So their major role is to help build the project. Since the two departments cannot interact with each other directly, there comes the role of business analyst. So see, the business analyst, when I say, is the bridging gap between the two and ensure that whatever the stakeholder wants to communicate to IT is actually done through business analyst, because he does it in an effective way and plan a process flow to get the work done. So let us suppose that there is a company X. Okay. I'll also give a problem solution to you all so that you can work on it. Make sure you guys write everything, prepare note so that it will help you with interview. These questions may look small, or the discussion may look something that you are already aware of, but try to focus and prepare notes. Anything can be asked in an interview. Okay, so yeah, let us assume that there is this company X whose business stakeholders decide to update their, say, software. Okay, so this is actually client or could be stakeholder. Now, their software that they want to update is requires an additional feature, say user experience, to the existing application. So after they decide on what features they wish to upgrade, they discuss their requirements with the business analyst. And this business analyst will discuss with the stakeholder all the requirements and will ask all important questions to make sure that they have captured all the details and gathered all the requirements. And then they prepare business requirement documents based on the discussion with IT team. This is the process flow. And in order to understand how BA would plan a project, first of all, please understand that there are few very important questions that a BA has to ask. Okay, we can take some examples. Suppose you are in an interview, giving an interview of a BA, and you are asked, give us 5 important questions that a BA should ask. So the first would be, whenever there is a client who comes up to you with a problem or with any demand, you will ask, do they have problem solving abilities? So the first would be problem solving abilities. Second would be, is there any training required? Now, this training could either be for the IT team. So in order to understand the project or the basic requirements of stakeholders, at times it can so happen that the IT team may require training. So a BA should ask whether there is any training required by the team, or if there is any training that the stakeholders would want, in order to understand the IT team or the developers better. Okay. Then comes the third question, which would be, is the team ready? So whether stakeholders have their own team. So that would be third point. Just a minute, just a minute. Okay, and the fourth point would be, is the team technically equipped? This is crucial again, because as a BA, we don't know what resources do we have. I mean, the stakeholders have. Then comes if there is any requirement that is defined. All right. Now, when we talk about a typical business analyst job description, so it actually requires them to first gather the requirement from the stakeholder. That is step one. We will talk about all the steps in detail. So the first would be to gather requirement. So this step is done by first identifying their business needs, or we can also say the vision or mission of the product, or uh, um, about the requirement or the needs of the business. Would be step one. The second would be after the requirement have been gathered, the business analyst have to define the process flow. Okay. So the second step would be to define the process flow. And typically, how much time they will require to complete the project, that is the deadline. Now, this step typically happens after the BA has captured the requirement and discussed it with the development team, not before that. And after receiving important inputs from the development team, they tend to discuss the matter further with client. And then they ask the relevant questions to get their doubts cleared. Okay. Once BA has conducted meetings with both the stakeholder and the IT team, then comes their next job, that is to define the process flow. That is, after the discussion, after all the requirements were understood and were also delivered to the IT team, there comes process flow, followed by breaking down the project into simpler steps so that with every new feature added, they can discuss with stakeholder and take feedback to move further on the completion of the project. Now, depending on the type of methodology applied in order to have this process flow, there could either be two methods. One would be agile, the other would be waterfall. We will talk about it in detail later. Okay. And the BA has to plan the project accordingly. So let us understand each step in detail. First is to understand the objectives. First and foremost, before starting the project, the role of the business analyst is to understand the client's goal. Okay, so the BA has to make sure to prepare a plan that is best suited for the client's project. And hence, every business analyst has to understand what are the ongoing problems. So that is very important, because until and unless you understand the problem of the client, you cannot cater the needs. So the ongoing problem that the client is facing at the moment and how the solution can help the client mitigate the limitation. I'm so sorry, I'm getting an important call. Just a minute. Yes. So far we discussed about objectives, the problem, and how to help the client with the solution. Um, so these are the two things that the client would face in industry. Uh, After objectives, there comes gather business requirement. I've talked about requirement a lot, so let's understand it in understand it better. Now, once the BA has understood the business goals, objectives, and an ongoing problem, they have to gather all the requirements as mentioned by the client and build business process. So, along with gathering the requirement, they also have to ensure that they have the right resource and platform to get the work done. Okay, so please make sure you write two important things. One is resource, and the other is right platform. So, for example, if the client wants to set up a payment gateway in their application that accepts international payment, for example, and may want to add a feature of, say, international shipping to it, okay, the BA has to make sure the integration of the shipping companies and payment gateways that accept international payment are seamlessly, say, actually achievable. Otherwise, there's no point. So it is important that whatever client asks us is achievable, and we make sure to communicate the same to the client. So it is better to not set unrealistic expectations and ensure that the time frame, the budget allocated, and the resources recruited for the particular project are proper. So this is our role to make sure that the product is achievable or the requirement can meet the deadline. If not, communicate the same to the client and come up with some other or better solution. Third, um, third is allocating resources for the project. It is the same resource because we have to understand whether there's sufficient resource with the stakeholders or if there's anything that they want from us. So once the BA has an in-depth understanding of the client's project and has gathered all the important information needed to develop the project, they have to start allocating the work. Okay, allocation of work is really important, and that work may or may not be part of BA. It will depend upon the resources available with the stakeholders. So in order to start allocating the work to a development team who can handle the project and help the client achieve their business goal, it is very crucial to identify the right team for the project. So for example, suppose if we have to hire a backend team to develop the feature of that particular app. However, we hire front-end team, so it will be of no use to us, right? So we may also be working with HR because in order to have that correct job description of right candidate, we may also work with HR. So BA will also be working with HR apart from IT and business team. So understand how their role, the roles are increasing. Okay. Now, these are the three important parts: objective, requirement, resource. Then comes how do we as BA conduct meeting with stakeholders and with development team. So this thing will actually depend from project to project, but normally the business analyst has to conduct to and fro meetings with both the stakeholders and the development team. As and when an update or a feature is added to the project, so that it will help in taking necessary feedbacks from the client and solve the problem that the development team is facing while adding that particular feature to the app. So far, we understand that there is business team, there is IT team, and we are here. Okay. So at times it will so happen that IT team will come up with many queries. And in order to give a solution or answer to those queries, we will have to further prepare a set of questions that we will communicate to our business team or the stakeholders. So the IT team first adds a feature, and the role of BA is to understand and explain the feature, updates to the client, and take feedback to move further. Now, based on the client feedback, the BA instructs the IT team to make certain amendments and keep going. So in certain scenarios, these are cases where the client request for an additional feature to be added to the project. So while you were noting the request or the requirement of the client, probably it could so happen that the stakeholder may not give you all the details at once, or probably they are not even aware that there could be a problem that may arise, but you will have to figure it out with the development team or while working with the development team. So based on the feasibility, BA then has to allocate the changes in the existing project and allocate the resources accordingly if need be. So hence conducting regular meetings with the client and IT team to take feedback and implement changes, then it helps in reaching the end goal of the project soon. And this is one of the most crucial business analyst skill that a successful BA must possess. After all these, there comes collecting feedback from user. This is one important role. Feedback from user and from client or the stakeholders. Once the prototype version is of the business model is ready, the BA roles require them to share the same with the clients and take their feedback. So the clients will not get into the market or release their product into the market without testing it. So a prototype version is important. Once it is ready, it is important that BA takes the feedback from client. So BA also tests the interface by involving some customers. Okay, so there comes another role, that is customer involvement. Please pardon my handwriting. Okay. Yes. So as I said that once the interface, the BA tests the interface by involving some customer and record their experience with the model built. Then based on that feedback, BA plans some amendment. Okay. Here's the feedback. And here's amendment. And this is again done by BA. So this is why it is important that we understand tech to an extent that we are capable enough to make certain changes in the prototype version. So the BA will conduct user acceptance testing to verify if the prototype is in line with the requirements of the business project. And again, the role will also require them to assess the functional and non-functional requirements of the business. And that is how there comes a final role of BA after the feedback, after amendment, there comes final report. So building of final report is another role of BA. So after collecting feedback and taking the necessary actions, BA may have to move to their most crucial role of building reports with the help of business analytical tools that we have discussed. That would be Tableau, Power BI, or Jira. Jira isn't used that much. However, to prepare data visualization reports and general report, these analytical tools are very crucial. So data visualization is a key required for any analyst to succeed in their project, as it helps in estimating the performance of the model built by the team. So based on the analysis and performance forecasting of the software model built by the team, the BA is able to put forward the say metrics and detail while presenting the final meeting with client about their achievements and the feedback they have received from the said customers. Once you prepare the final report, then comes documentation. And presentation. And that is why it is important to work on the communication skill. So on completion of the business project, BA has to document the project details and share the findings of the project with the client. So generally, the business analysts have to prepare reports and present the project outcomes to business stakeholders or client for a better understanding. So they are also required to note down all the project learning and hardships they faced while building the project in a say compact form. And this step helps the BA take better decisions in their future. And lastly, once all the decisions and meetings have been concluded, the business analyst has to deliver the project to the client. And the streamlined approach taken by the business analyst helps in achieving the required outcome in lesser time. And that is why IT cannot directly talk to stakeholders without BA, because IT cannot really prepare a deadline for itself. And so a BA is kind of a manager who will not only give the requirements, but also provide deadline with each requirement. And it is important for the BA to have a clear understanding with their team members, as they have to build and complete an entire project. And that is only possible if the communication is proper and responsibilities are properly allocated to the group members. So with that, I think I have covered all the roles of BA. I hope that is clear. I was clear so far.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm so sorry for disturbances, because there was some important call that I had to attend. Okay, now, so this was all for BA. We have completed everything about BA. I hope there's nobody in the team who's still having any query regarding the role and responsibilities of a BA? If there is, please ask me. All right. So I am assuming there's no query regarding business analyst and the roles.
No query.
All right. So I'll move ahead with data science and evolution of data scientist. You may or may not be, you may not wish to be a data scientist, but just understand that understand the role of data scientist, because it is important. As I said, data science is an umbrella which will have BA, marketing analyst, and every other analytical job under it. So now let us first understand that in any company, data plays significant role. We have discussed it already. And if there is a data science team, there's also a business intelligence team. The role of data science team is to gather data and filter it. As I said, this data is an unstructured or a semi-structured data. And it is so because it comes from various resources. For example, if suppose you have a normal employee data, you will have, it could be very simple if the company is a small company of say around 20 people. That is normal, you can still manage it. But if you are in a company like that of Facebook and you receive resources, you receive data from various resources such as, or say in the form of audio, video, or other various other forms, then how do you really think of, storing it? So there comes the role of data science and data scientist. So let us understand how data science evolved over the period. So it started with so it started with the role of statistician. Say 25 years ago, statistician was responsible for gathering and clearing data set by applying statistical or mathematical ways. Okay, so with the growth of data and technology, let me write it for you. Gathering and clearing data set. And with the growth of data and technology, data mining evolved. So the job of statistician converted to extracting patterns from data by applying mathematical and statistical methods. Then the job further changed or enhanced to predictive analytics, which means that performing more accurate forecasts with improved technology was now the role. And finally, it changed to data scientist. So everything above led to data scientist. It is important to note here that although the name designation changed over the years, methods or the technology related to data, it also changed. However, the goal remained the same. So a statistician who was technical and who had technical and statistical knowledge can now fit into various roles. Okay, and that is how the role of data scientist evolved over years. Any queries so far? Anyone?
No.
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 All right. Yes.
I'm a business analyst won't be doing the predictive part, right now? Predictive analytics part. It would be basically more of a kind of communication or bridge between the two people, right?
No, there will be predictive analytics as well. Suppose if you have to work on the sales report, the example that I gave you about gathering data from client and giving it to the development team is one of the roles. But then there could be preparation of sales report as well, or any other report for that matter, where you have to use your predictive analytical skill as well. So in order to understand that, you first need to understand analysis and analytics. It is important that you have a fair understanding of these two terms, because both the things are important for BA, and a BA will also be involved into predictive analytics. Any field, whether it is HR or whether it is marketing, will necessarily do predictive analytics. I'll give you an example for HR or for marketing, because if you can understand the basic, you can obviously understand data analytics and business analytics as well. So for example, in HR, say if a company wants to understand the reason why employees are leaving the organization, they will have to study the past. Say they will take the data of past 5 years. They will do analysis of the data. They'll come up with a reason that this particular thing is one reason. It could be anything, could be work environment, could be salary, or could be anything. That one problem can be considered as a result of analysis done by the HR analytic. And then same can be avoided in future to retain the employees. And that is how you are doing predicting future using past analysis. Are you there with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, in case of marketing or as a marketing analyst, suppose if you are asked to do a study or prepare a report of what can help, what trend can help, in giving or in releasing more products. So in that case, you will analyze suppose if we consider one social media, that would be Instagram. So we have to analyze the trend of Instagram for past few months, say, because it changes every week. The Insta trend changes every week. So if they are analyzing the report, using that report to understand or predict the future, is using predictive analytics. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But BA himself won't be doing this, right? He would be actually communicating with these HR analysts and marketing analysts, and he would create the reports based on them. And then he would, like, as you said in the second and third point, collecting the requirements and understanding the resources and all. So he would be communicating with these analytic peoples, and then he would be, setting deadlines, and it would be like this, right?
A
He
BA will,
himself
okay.
won't be doing the analytic part, I
A
guess.
BA will only be doing the analytical part. And that is why we are learning programs.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so
I think, ma'am, hello.
yes. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am. I'm actually looking into the matters like they would showing their point of view.
Can
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, the BA would be like, ma'am, showing their point of views, and the bad things which are be matter of importance that would be given prioritized. They would actually show a direction in which we are going.
Not really, because when I gave you an example of BA getting the feedbacks on this part where the BA was actually taking feedback from the user. So suppose in order to give client the feedback, or suppose a survey was done by a BA. Now this survey will actually, when you give it to the client, the result, it will not only be the result of the survey that BA has done for that particular project, but along with that, there will be analysis of what has been, what has been the history of that product in past. Suppose there is one software, say, could be anything. Say, suppose it could be a dating app. So, and a client wants to have that dating app, a new dating app. But what was done in the past, and how can it, what feature can be added, will be asked to the user. Anything that they want that is missing in the past report, and how we can predict the future is actually done by BA. That is the role of BA, to understand both history and future, past and future, and then present it to the client or the stakeholder. That report will be inclusive of everything, including the survey report, including the competitors list that will have the past report or the analysis of such product in past, and the future prediction as well. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Yes, yes.
All right. Let me know if there is any confusion, or if I should proceed.
No, ma'am, it's clear, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Ma'am, can you please differentiate that how the profile of BA is relevant or irrelevant to DA profile from scratch, right?
There's only one very small thing that I have told during induction as well, and that is business decision. Data analytics is vast, and you will not understand it through any blog or while I tell you about what exactly it is, but you will understand, because both the things involve data. They both use analysis, analytics, and algorithms. Everything is there, but there's just one thing that differentiates, and that is the business problem, and a business solution to it is the role of BA, not DA. DA is wider. BA is part of data analytics.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. You will obviously understand it, but you will understand it better once you understand the role of business analytics. Okay. And over the period, we will also understand what exactly is advanced analytics. And advanced analytics will have data. Data will have its subpart as business case studies and business analytics. It will also have data science and data analytics. But to get there, we will need at least 2 days so that you are well versed between some basic things. For example, let's understand what is the difference between, I hope my screen is still visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right. All right. So, see, I don't know how many of you are really aware of what is the difference between analysis and analytics? But it's very easy. Analysis, as I said, is past, and analytics is future. So with analysis, when we have a data set, we break it into separate data set or data to study or analyze them separately. So suppose those who have understood SQL or just understand it in a way that this is, say, data sets. And if we break it, there will be separate data. Okay, so we study each data set separately to compare them against each other through analysis. It is always done on past data to explain how a story ended in a particular way, or why was there a significant decrease in the sales report. So if we suppose this is the sales report of 2000, 2010, 2020. So this is past. And in order to analyze this, we use analysis. Study of past is nothing but analysis. Analytics, on the other hand, refers to future, to explore potential future events. And this is based on computational and logical reasoning. So this computational and logical reasoning is obtained in the component part of analysis. So when we say analytics, we can conveniently break it into two parts. One would be qualitative. The other is quantitative. This qualitative is nothing but intuitive, supported by analysis. We have already discussed what analysis is, and quantitative is based upon formulas and algorithms used in machine learning, deep learning. Okay. Now let us understand both qualitative and quantitative with an example. So suppose if there is this CEO of a company who knows what kind of dresses is generally worn by women aged between 25 to 30 years. Okay, nobody can really figure this out through quantitative unless there is a survey done to it. But you can obviously understand it through years of experience. So suppose if you have the CEO, since he is in this industry since quite a number of years, and he now understands that the fashion for 25 to 30 years of age is this, that comes through experience. On contrary, when we talk about quantitative, so the same example, say if this CEO, in order to display the garment that customer wants, so that customer the release of that article could be in a particular month. So if I want to understand that my company, if I am the CEO, and if I want to understand that my articles, when is the best time to release my articles? And when I do the analysis, or I do the survey, or I observe the past report, I can figure out that probably in future for this financial year, the coming financial year, June is the best time to release my articles, because I do not sell woolen clothes, or I do not sell clothes that are very spring oriented. So probably June is the best time, and that I come to understand through survey or the past sale data, and I predict the future. There comes the quantitative analytics. Okay. I hope I have cleared the difference between analysis and analytics.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I think so far we have done quite a lot. Is there any query? Hello?
No, ma'am, no queries.
Anyone, any feedback, any opinion? I
No queries.
All right. And also let me know if it is clear to you guys, because I will also give you a problem where I will work as a client. We will do this exercise tomorrow, because I said that the most important and the crucial part of BA is to acquire the requirements of the client, or to gather all the requirements. For that, you need to ask all important questions and not the questions that are not relevant or the bakwas kind of questions. No, we need to understand all those questions that are important. Also, when you appear for any interview, you'll be asked this very important question, and that is, what are the, if suppose I sell this product or I am the client, ask me 5 questions or 6 questions, anything. So you should understand the nature of questions that a BA should ask, because you are neither an IT person nor a business person. You are somewhere between both the groups. Dhruv, since you have worked as a business analyst, would you like to let us know about what exactly was your role, and if you could relate to what I told today?
Yeah, Kriti. Hey. So, in my opinion, when I was working as a business analyst, my role was to, typically I had expertise in business intelligence development. So, which usually starts from requirement gathering, getting in touch with the stakeholders, understanding what would define the success of this project. And then once we know what are the requirements from the stakeholders, we would design some digital analytics KPIs. Let's say the business is about e-commerce, and the client want to understand how well they are performing over the years. So me as a business analyst, I would design some matrices on Tableau or Power BI, any data visualization tool, where we can compare matrices period over period or year over year, like few of the analytics KPIs such as customer lifetime value, delivery costs, shipping, canceled orders, and all sort of things, year over year, month over month, or quarter over quarter comparison, as per the requirement we gather from the client. And then paint a picture or paint a story so that it's easy for the stakeholders to understand how well they are performing, business wise, so that it's easy for them to get insights from the data they have available on their database, and to take better business decisions in the future. So in the end, finally scheduling the reports on the server so that they have all those things in place. I hope I'm making sense.
Absolutely, Dhruv. So is there anyone else who would like to throw some light on the role of BA, or would like to share his or her experience? So tomorrow I'll give you a problem, say, where I will act as a client with a product which is new. Then I will, once you guys will ask me questions one by one, or anybody could ask me a question regarding the product, and will also help me understand, once you are done with the questions and you prepare your own report, I'll introduce you to the IT person. That person will also be working on the same project. You understand, or you make the IT person first understand the whole product. You make him understand what is required and how can we make it better. Because I, as a client, I, as a client, is someone who is, say, tech illiterate, and therefore you will have to make me understand as well. Also, there's nothing right, there's nothing wrong. Just do it as a BA. It's just a role play. Once you prepare your report, you don't have to use BI or any other tool for the same. It's just a normal report that you'll be working on Word and preparing, so that you are familiar with the role of BA. Okay, and also will understand how to gather data there. All that we'll decide tomorrow, and we'll also be discussing about the data and how to use the same product in the market, and other competitors' role. Everything, we'll be discussing everything tomorrow. Okay, so anything else, team? Let me know if I was clear, because I will also work on it if I wasn't.
No, you were clear, pretty clear about the things.
All right, thank you, Rashi.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I joined in the middle. Can you do something for that? I think I left most of the question.
Don't worry, we have recorded the session. We'll share it with you.
Okay.
All right. If there's no other query, we'll sum it up today. Any other query? Yes.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to understand if like everything is clear to everyone. If there's some pain areas, if there is something which someone wasn't able to understand. So I'm back here for the last 3 to 4 minutes. I'm gonna try all my best to explain those key concepts to you guys. So if you have any doubts regarding anything for this session, I can help you with that right now. Any question, guys? Last 2 to 3 minutes.
No, sir, no queries.
Ankit, my question is for Dhruv. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, hi Dhruv. So I
Hey,
understand that. Yeah, I understand that you were doing more of analytics, right? And not requirement gathering. So you weren't in the role of BA as in, right? You weren't gathering requirements and then communicating to your IT team, right? But you were just getting the requirements, analyzing the data, and proposing solutions, I guess, that what can be done to. Is that so?
When you say a business analyst, I would say there's no definition to it. The role may vary from organization to organization. It may vary from team to team, because a lot of of organizations has different functional structure. Somewhere you may have to take up the data analysis role as well when you're working as a BA, and somewhere you must be just the mediator between the IT and the business guys, just told by the Akriti. So the role really depends upon, when you're applying for the job, you should go through the job description all the time. So that's how it works. There's no made up description about this role. Like I mentioned, it may vary from organization to organization, team to team. Like you mentioned, I was doing the analysis. So analysis always starts from requirement gathering. So the first question is always, what would define the success of this project? As a business analyst, you may get a one-liner question. How can we grow the market size, or how can we grow the revenue to 5%? How can we see growth by 15% in the next quarter or in the next fiscal year? So that's how questions are, one-liner. But we don't need to worry about that. There's no scale. We learn all these things over the time, bit by bit, pieces by over the time. So
what
questions
I
are
was
like this. How do we
thinking,
do?
okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So what I was thinking is that you always need to build a software, or you always need to make some changes to a software, and the BA is the bridge between the two teams. But in your case, that is not so. You are proposing solutions to improve sales, or what can be done so that you attract people to buy or purchase your product. This can also be one of the aspects of
I'll answer
business,
that.
right?
I'll answer that. So we have a number of businesses nowadays, like you mentioned, software. Just like software, there are a lot of industries. E-commerce, somebody is selling, somebody is into e-commerce, somebody is into the hotel business, somebody is into, pharmaceuticals. There are a lot of businesses out there, and all these businesses need business analysts. So if you are working, there are two kinds of companies. Either they are service-based or they are product-based. If you're working in a service-based company, then you always have a client to whom you provide business analysis services. If you're working in a product-based company, then you're working for the company itself, where you do analysis and all those market analysis, predictive analysis on your product. While on the other hand, when you're working for service-based companies, you're working for the clients, because that's how the business structure is. So if you are working in a software-based company, a company who makes softwares, so all you do not need to build softwares, but you need to have a good understanding of software, so that you understand what an IT guy is saying to you, and you understand what business guy wants, and then you do analysis from your understanding, from your experience, what can be done to be on the same grounds, to bring these two guys on the same grounds, and have a common understanding how we can move forward.
Okay.
So I would want you to look at a business analyst as a person who is essential for a business to grow. And a business can be anything. It can be software industry. It can be, it can be anything, like I mentioned earlier. So
Okay.
again, like I was saying, it can be, sometimes it's not, some business analyst roles doesn't even include any data analysis. It's just, the bridge between the IT and the business, or the senior executives of the organization. Sometimes it's more of, data analyst role, because these the profile names or the job role names are just an outline of the work you would do.
Okay.
And the requirements would be sometimes a lot on the data side, sometimes there'll be a lot on the communication side. So it really depends upon the kind of role that you're going into.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I get it.
I'm just trying to paint a bigger picture. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Just to
Thank you so
add
much.
what Dhruv said, this one example, as a legal professional, if there's a legal professional in a company, say, who is a legal manager, he will be good with litigation, that is going to court, practice. There would be another role of his that would be to vet or draft the cases or agreements. And there will be many more roles. But he's still a legal manager. So if he goes to a company, he might end up into litigation team, that is to do practice and to go to court, or he might end up into a drafting team or the corporate team, say, where he will be busy only with the drafting work. So the field is huge. Similar is the case, with business analyst, because the role is humongous and you need to understand that which part of it you end up will define your work. So okay. What we have
Yeah, I
done.
couldn't agree more with you.
Right.
I got my answer. Thank you.
All right, welcome. Anyone else? Ankit, would you like to add to our points or anything?
No, so I'm also in another meeting. So I just came here for the last 2 minutes just to see if there are some questions. But then, yeah, they were like nicely answered. From my side, I would say that a business analyst is a very common role. So you're not anything special, but then the thing that is required on your part is that you should be able to understand the problem statement, and then should be able to think of a solution, and then communicate the very same thing to the stakeholders. I mean, to your stakeholders, to the product stakeholders, or to the service company's stakeholders. That's it. You just have to have a good understanding. You should be a person who should be able to understand what's wrong with the system. If you see something, you should be able to spot the imperfections. Should be able to spot something which is like totally wrong, something which is like slightly wrong, and then to not just to say that that's wrong, but then also to make a solution, or at least devise the solution and then present that solution to the company or to the person. So you would get to understand that whether or not you have this quality from the childhood itself. So if you are one who finds problems with things and then who is able to make things better on a day-to-day basis, then you are basically one business analyst. It's going to be very easy for you to get adapted or adapt to this role. So it's like that. So you would know for sure that, yeah, you are suitable for this role or not. Like that. Should be able to identify problems, and then you should be smart enough. You should be intelligent in a way that you're able to think differently than other people, because most of the people here in this world are not able to spot problems. They think that the world is a good place to live in, where in reality it is not. You have to actually make it a good place to live in. So if you're able to find those spots and then get ideas to fill in those spots, then that's it. That's all the prerequisites to be a business analyst, or to be any. And yes, and then so nowadays what happens, I'll tell you what happens. So many a times what happens is that you are able to understand what the problem is, but then there has to be a way to communicate that as well. If I find a problem in quantum mechanics, like I see that, oh, this subatomic particles behaves in a very different way when it is exposed to a light or a radiation of this wavelength. This is what I would understand being a physicist. You guys will not be able to understand that. Even if I try to tell you guys that, okay, the wavelength is this much, and the energy which corresponds to this kind of wavelength is this much, and that's the reason this is happening. All those things, if I say, it won't make any sense to you guys. I will have to present it in a way that you take cognizance of the problem, and then you start thinking of the solution. How will that happen? Data analytics and other such qualities may come handy for that. So if you're a data analyst, you see a problem. If you say, sir, you know what, last year, I think that if you take such policy decisions, then we might suffer losses in sales. No one will give any value to your statements. But if you draw some data from some of the similar companies like HP, maybe you're in the printing industry, so HP, some other companies which are in the printing industry, you take the data and then you show that, okay, they had taken such decisions 4 years back under such circumstances, and then they actually met loss of around $1 billion or something. When you show that on a graph, by analyzing the data, by plotting them, by reporting it, then they'll come and they'll see, okay, if we are actually trying to make the same mistake or not. Shall we actually make a better 2-year or 3-year future plan or something? So all those things will impact in that way. So you understand? It's just that you should be able to understand what the problem is in this world, and should be able to give an intelligent solution to that. That's the role of a business analyst. Be it softwares, be it business processes, be it management hierarchy. You might even come up with an idea that, what's the problem with your company is not anything to do with your sales, or not anything to do with the technology. It is just the hierarchy that your company has. For example, if you remove this manager, this central sub manager, then the lower manager can directly talk with the upper manager and the problem will be solved. This can be one of the very good solutions to loss in the sales ka problem. The company is meeting loss in sales like every second year or third year. This can be a solution. Sir, the problem is because your middle manager does not listen to your lower manager and they are not able to communicate efficiently. My solution to you is that you remove this middle layer. You see, that can be something. But how do you reach this conclusion? By analyzing data, by trying to see what's going wrong. And how do you do that? By making a mathematical model of the system, making changes to it, and then seeing what that changes brings in the output of the system. If you see that making a small change makes a positive output to the system, you say that yes, this is what has to be done. If it makes the system worse, then that's what you don't do. Right? So it's like that. It's just a mathematical modeling of the physical system, giving some input input variables to the system and checking the outputs. If it's as per your requirement, then good. I hope you did understand, right? It's like making, if you are working with DRDO or suppose with ISRO, there are two options. Either you make a rocket and try to send it to the moon and see if it fails or not. That will take only $1 billion of your economy, right? The second thing is you make a simulation. By making a simulation, what you're doing is you're trying to make a a mathematical model of your physical system. And when you simulate that, you see what happens to that system or what doesn't happen to the system. If it works, you make a physical system. If it doesn't work, then you make some changes to your mathematical model and test once again. And if it works, then you make a physical system and spend $1 billion. You just don't throw your $1 billion directly. So business analysts are also found not just in all these corporate sectors, but also in ISRO and NASA and all other places. All right, guys, I'll just end this here. Any questions on the comment, anything?
Sir, I wanted to ask you, what about the accuracy? So how can one guarantee about its accuracy that this will happen?
Well, so accuracy and precision, these are some of the engineering terms. You will have to basically run a program many a times to basically understand if that's going to happen or not. So in computer science or in any other subject, in engineering, there is a term which is known as degree of confidence. So if you take a certain decision, you are always bounded or limited by what is called as the probability of something happening. Everything in this world is probabilistic. Everything. If I start my journey from Boston to New Delhi, there is a probability associated with that, whether I'll ever be able to make to Delhi or not. Maybe because of bad weather conditions, my flight will be redirected to Doha. Maybe my flight will, it will make some unfortunate accident or something like that can also happen. There is a probability associated with everything. So what we do is we put a degree of confidence related to all those probability events. The whole exercise is known as probabilistic safety assessment or a risk assessment or probabilistic assessment, we call it as PA. In this, for a given set of inputs, there has to be a given set of outputs, right? But for the same given set of inputs, when the environmental variables change, we don't get the same set of outputs. If we always get the same set of outputs for a same given set of inputs, then we call that system as a deterministic system. Everything is very simple. If you punch someone, he's gonna punch you back. But that's not the reality. He might even say that, okay, why did you? He might start getting into conversation. So you have to understand what is called as probabilistic systems in order to understand degree of confidence. We'll come to that subject. I'll basically take a lecture on the very same topic. It's going to be like an hour lecture or something. Okay, we'll have some mathematical model on that and we'll work on that. I mean, it's a very good area to research on. But to give you a very short answer, you have to basically define what is called as degree of confidence in the probability that you've got, and it always depends on that. So whenever you go and talk to so suppose you're a business analyst and you go and talk to your manager or maybe to the CEO of the company, you say that, sir, you make these set of changes that I'm asking you to, and you don't say that it will definitely make the company better. No, there are 70% chances that your company or the sales will increase by like 30%. That's how you speak. You never say that, you know what, sir, make these changes, take this pill, and subah tak bukhar aapka utar jayega. No, that's not how it happens. You always say everything, you always communicate everything with a certain degree of confidence, and that can be very well communicated using probability of events. You say that, sir, make these 4 changes, 70% chances hain ki your company is gonna make a profit of around 30% more or something like that. That's how. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Again, if I may, just wanted to add on what Ankit just mentioned, if I may.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes. So just like you were asking about the accuracy. So what we do is we do our part. Whatever a business analyst do, you know, go through the data, do some analysis, come up with insights, back our insights with the data that we worked on, and then take the decision. Rest is up to the outcome. We do our job the best by doing analysis on the gathered data or whatever data is available, and that's how we, back ourselves about the accuracy based on data, the historical data. And if things go haywire, then we already did our best and we'll come back stronger. Because that's what our job is, to do analysis on the historical data and predict the future.
No, but guys, I'll ask you guys to restrain from such a practice here, because being a business analyst, you are not just a small employee in one of the big organizations, but you're also a mini entrepreneur. Business analyst is someone who can directly be called as a product owner as well. So what I mean to say is that whatever decision that you're taking, analyzing the data, no one ever in this world, it's not a good practice for an engineer ever to say that, okay, you do this and I've done my best, and then no, you don't do that. You don't, because in that way you are becoming philosophical. You're not being an engineer. You're not quantifying things. What you have to always say is that even like everywhere, you just make this a part of your daily life. Never leave such these things. Whenever you do anything, you have to associate that with a degree of confidence or a probability of that event happening in your favor. And you have to present your data along with that. Always keep this in your brain, guys. Incept this idea in your brain. You never say that, this is what my job is. No, you always say, every time you do anything in this world, you say that this is what I've done. And if certain measures are taken, there is a chance of 70% or 60% or maybe 20%, because without that 20%, 60%, 70%, all you have done is just a waste. I'll tell you why. If there is no degree of confidence, the person in the front of you will assume that it is 100%, and it is never 100%, guys. Nothing is ever 100% in this world. Nothing is ever 100% in this world. It's always less than 100%. It's always, nothing is definite. That's the reason I'm saying no probability is one. Nothing, no probability. Even so, whatever happens, there is no probability which is one. Even for the case of dying, you know, people say that if you're born, you have to die. So that's the reality. But who knows, man? Unless and until you have seen death, you don't know. And it just goes to the quantum problem. When you actually start looking at a particle, it starts behaving in a different way. So you don't know how the particle actually behaves unless and until you see that. If you don't see that, you don't know. And if you see that, it starts behaving differently. Similarly, if you don't die, there is no, you cannot say for sure that, yeah, there is what is called as death. If you die, then you don't know after that. Right? So it's, but just to give you this thing, just put this thing in your brain. Never ever say that do these set of things and your job is going to be done, or I don't know anything beyond this. No company is going to ever like you guys. They will throw you out. They will never like a business analyst to be like that. Otherwise, you'll just land up in a very lower clerical position. What's the difference between an engineer and a mechanic? A mechanic just does what he's told, right? An engineer actually sees the future. He sees that, okay, let me call in 2 mechanics. If they're not able to do it, then I have a third person on standby. So any kind of business problem that you get in your life in the future, what's going to happen is that there will be a certain set of actions that you will recommend, and also recommend and also associate that with a certain degree of confidence or probability that a favorable outcome is going to come when you implement those. If that doesn't happen, then you also give a counter argument that if this doesn't, then we can make these more slight changes, right? डॉक्टर भी ऐसे ही बोलता है, आप आज पैरासिटामोल लो, सुबह तक उतर गया, बहुत अच्छी बात है, चांसेस है 90% की उतर जाएगा, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है ये कॉमन फीवर है, कॉमन वायरल फीवर है. अगर नहीं उतरा, then we will take you to this scan, CT scan maybe, and then आपका सर का करेंगे, ये सब करेंगे, then वहां से इतना पता चलेगा. अगर उससे भी नहीं होता है तो we'll do this.